Marvel is infamous for being downright brutal with its characters at times, making you wonder if the people writing them straight up hate certain characters, or straight up hate us, the readers. Whether funny, offensive, or just plain messed up, they've pulled some weird stunts over the years. I'm Will for What Culture, and here are 10 times Marvel went too far. 10. Turning Frank Castle into Frankenstein's monster. FRANKEN-CASTLE. Superhero secret identities are notoriously punny. This is nothing new. And while Frank Castle isn't really a play on anything like his earlier contemporaries, there came a time when they decided to capitalize on a pun that could be made out of his name. Thus, FRANKEN-CASTLE was born. Dignity died shortly thereafter. Yeah, it lasted about 1 volume and was swiftly undone. I'm kinda shocked it lasted even that long, but Matt Fraction's writing was just good enough to hold up such an outlandish idea. This, though entertaining in a fun, popcorn-munching way, was just a dumb idea that fans inevitably did not warm to. 9. Making Ben Reilly the real Spider-Man. Spectacular Spider-Man 226. Frankly, you could make an entire list about moments from the Clone Saga, but one that went way too far for a lot of people was the moment Marvel officially made their move to replace Peter Parker with Ben Reilly. So, during one of the most confusing arcs of an already brain-melting saga, Marvel revealed that Ben was actually the real Peter Parker the whole time, while the one we'd been following since over the last however hundreds of comics was really a clone. Yeah, people did not like it, but the internet wasn't quite a thing yet, so it took a bit for Marvel to get the memo that fans were really not happy with this and change it back. 8. Carnage massacres Manhattan. Maximum Carnage. In the Maximum Carnage storyline, Carnage gathers up a small army of like-minded supervillains with only one goal in mind: kill as many people as they possibly can. And Carnage being Carnage means that the body count in this event is legit insane, with whoever he doesn't kill himself being made into raving lunatics by the supervillain Shriek, becoming a murderous mob that almost tears the city apart. Problem with just murdering hundreds of people without the narrative stakes to back it up is it doesn't really mean anything beyond the spectacle. Here's one time where less death, but surrounding people we'd been given time to care about, would have meant a lot more. 7. X-Force. Sex and violence. Look, there's nothing wrong with leaning into a little sex appeal every now and then, but when forced out for the sake of quick cash, it can come off as pretty cringe. Case in point, X-Force, Sex and Violence. Domino, having managed to piss off the Hand, the Assassin's Guild, and pretty much every other organization that knows her, has to go on the run with Wolverine, and basically a whole lot of gore and sex ensues. The plot is insipid, the title incredibly lowbrow, and the gore doesn't have anything going for it that a much better series couldn't top. A whole series dedicated to sex and violence, and it fails at both. 6. All but erasing the Fantastic Four and X-Men. This one is interesting because rather than being a single plot point or an entire storyline, this was an executive creative decision made by Marvel for several years. Fact of the matter is, they set about erasing 2 of their most iconic properties from existence. Today, Marvel have all but reversed this policy following Disney's acquisition of Fox, with the X-Men and the Fantastic Four back at the forefront of the publisher's lineup. However, for the longest time, the mutants and the Fantastic Four were unceremoniously shunted out of the limelight in the Marvel universe. All because Marvel couldn't handle having another company play with its toys on the big screen, even though Marvel was the one who sold them off in the first place. 5. Ultimatum. Ultimatum is pretty much the perfect embodiment of everything that was wrong with the Ultimate Universe when Jeff Loeb replaced Mark Miller on the main Ultimates title. Over-reliance on gore, obscene content with nothing on a thematic level to give it any meaning, a frankly shocking hatred of women, and the overall tone of a 13-year-old boy screaming obscenities online because that's what he thinks badass looks like. The whole book is one long celebration of pushing the envelope of good taste for the sheer sake of doing so. But the 2 moments that really stand out are where the eponymous ultimatum wave hits New York, drowning everyone in the 5 boroughs, including several X-Men and Daredevil, and then of course the moment that the Blob cannibalizes Wasp's corpse, prompting Hank Pym to retaliate by eating Blob in his giant man form. 4. The Punisher's skull is a demon sigil. Punisher Purgatory. While FRANKEN-CASTLE was a dumb idea, but good for some simple fun, Punisher Purgatory was just flat out bad from top to bottom. And one of the dumbest parts of all was that it decided to change Frank's origin. Originally, Frank had made enemies of the wrong people, and they killed his family in retaliation. And then Punisher Purgatory peeked out its head from behind a corner and said, okay, but what if Satan? So the story proceeded to reveal that it was actually the forces of hell that killed his family as a long game ploy to get Frank to kill in their name, resulting in a tug-of-war match over his soul between heaven and hell. Yeah, it was dumb. Really dumb. The Punisher's grounded nature when compared to the wackiness of the world he lives in is one of the biggest reasons people like his character. Take that away, all the way down to his origin, and the whole thing just falls apart. 3. Clone Thor murdering Goliath. Civil War. The compelling thing about Civil War was, although the heroes were giving it their all, they were still doing what they thought was right. Therefore, they aren't actively trying to murder each other for the first 3 issues or so. Then issue 4 comes around and we get the moment that truly kicks off the eponymous Civil War. Tony Stark revealing that he cloned the then dead Thor, who then brutally murders hero Goliath. Now, Goliath was never the most important hero in Marvel's library, but bringing him out of the mothballs just to blast a hole in him for shock value was a whole new low. 2. The 9/11 issue. Marvel Comics has always been a New York company, all the way down to its marrow, so it's no surprise that the creators working at Marvel at the time felt the pull to dedicate an issue to their characters, who are supposed to be in the real world, reacting to the September 11th attacks. While, if executed perfectly, the comic could work, it just doesn't, whether because it needed a few more drafts to tighten it up, or because this was just a bad idea from the word go. It isn't unforgivably terrible, but one of the emotional cornerstones of this comic is seeing Doctor Doom crying at the sight of the wreckage. It may have been well-meaning, but it comes across as just very strange, with the 9/11 Artists Respond book handling a 9/11 tribute in a much more elegant and tasteful way, with the proceeds of that book going to charity. 1. Nazi Cap. Captain America Steve Rogers 1. Even if you were in no way interested in comics or Marvel at the time, you know this reveal from how unanimously panned it was from the moment it hit shelves. Pretty much everyone agreed this was shocking, and then soon after everyone agreed it sucked. Nick Spencer can be a damn good writer, but this is a perfect example of just flat out not thinking your creative decisions through or not running them by the right people. Bottom line, people really objected to him making a character created by 2 Jewish men as an anti-fascist symbol into a Nazi. Add on to that the fact that this didn't come from a creative place at all, but as a shock tactic to make a few extra bucks, and yeah, it wasn't a good look at all for the folks at Marvel. Not a good look at all. And there you have it, folks. 10 times Marvel went too far. Feel free to drop this video a like if you enjoyed it, and drop me a follow on Twitter at YouSlyDogU. I'm Will for What Culture, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.